Now, do you want to start a home care agency in New York? People say it's nearly impossible today, but I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it. I run an 8-figure home care agency where I have 2 licenses in New York, and if I were starting fresh today, these are the exact steps that I would take to break into the market. Stick with me to the very end of this video because you'll know exactly how to start, scale your agency, and how to work with me to make it all happen. To give you an idea of the market, the home care industry is actually booming. Nationally, it's a $120 billion market and it's growing fast. And in New York alone, it's over $19 billion and rising. Home health care and personal care aides are also the single fastest growing job category in the state. That means that the opportunity for you is quite massive, and the demand for new providers hasn't been greater. Now, what I recommend as a starting point and where people should really get their kind of experience is to launch a companion care agency. These are private pay, non-regulated, non-medical models. It's basically hands-off care such as housekeeping, running errands, social support and supervision, meal prep, and tasks that don't require you to touch the patient, right? At least not in a social way. So there is no bathing, no oral care, no tending to total care clients, and really because that level of support requires a license. Overall, companion care is the quickest way to get into the market and build experience and confidence while pursuing a license for the additional services. Now, your billing rates as a companion care agency will range between $25 to $35 an hour, depending on where you are in New York. For example, if you're down in like New York City and Long Island, you're probably gonna have to charge around $35 just to make it attractive from a pay perspective to pay your workers. While in upstate New York, where wages are lower, you're gonna be able to charge towards the lower end of that pricing between like that $25 to $27 per hour range and still make decent money. For those of you who are watching that want my full startup checklist and the licensing roadmap, just drop a comment down below asking for it, or just follow the link in the description that I put so that you could just click through and get it for yourself. Now, I want to talk about some of the core and basic steps that you have to take when you're setting up a business, right? So step 1 is that you need to register your business as an LLC or corporation. And then you move into step 2, where you have to register that same business with the IRS so that you could get your EIN number, or what people commonly refer to as your tax ID number. Once you have these 2 things, you're technically in business and can start to do the necessary to operate your companion care agency. The next things that you need to do are obviously open a business bank account. I bank with Chase. I prefer Chase because their online banking is really good. You also need to carry liability and workers' comp insurance and build a simple website so that you can market your services and have visibility. General liability insurance covers your business in a general way. So that's slips and falls at your property, fires, things of that nature. But your workers' comp insurance is going to cover the employees that are going into your clients' homes. And in New York State, workers' comp is mandatory once you have employees. So that's why you need to have those 2 insurances no matter what, because you need to protect yourself from general liability so you don't get sued for general things. And then you need to protect your employees with workers' compensation insurance just in case they get hurt on the job. At some point, you'll need to run ads and market your agency, so visibility and having a website is going to be important. So your site should be clearly explaining your services and give an idea on how your clients and caregivers can register and contact you and sign up to start working with you. So you absolutely need to have like a contact form on your site. It's at this point that you have everything that you need to start recruiting and seeking out your first client. So your business is set up, you have your insurance, your website is up, and you have all the things to actually go to market. But before you do this, you can't skip the step of getting the right software. I recommend OnTime ITS, which is a software that I built specifically for startup agencies and growth stage home care agencies, and will cover you from companion care all the way through skilled home care, even providing services as an adult daycare. So depending on how far you want to go with your business, software will be the thing that you need, and OnTime is the software that you need. Now, this software will help you manage your recruitment system, keep track of employee documents, manage client services and schedules, handle your billing, and it has a mobile app for employee time clock and time and attendance so that you can do all your payroll calculations. It's everything that you need to run the business and stay on top of everything day to day. If you're wondering what the startup cost will be for a companion care agency, expect to spend between $3,000 to $5,000 to launch it if you're doing everything yourself, and around $8,000 to $15,000 if you're working with a consultant. Now, the benefits of working with a consultant are they help you do these steps correctly and assist you with some of the core documents and your initial marketing strategy so that you could at least go live faster and start getting clients. Now, if you're going to be moving towards licensing, especially in New York expects to see a credible team. That includes having an administrator, an RN supervisor, and someone that can handle HR responsibilities. You'll need to plan for caregiver recruitment and onboarding. So building these early in your companion care agency will help you show regulators that you're serious about how to go about this business. In New York, there's something called the HCS, or the Health Commerce System. And in this health commerce system, everybody that has a critical role in the agency must be registered to do specific things to stay compliant with regulations. You must have an administrator logged in that system. You must have a DPS, or a director of patient services, or this is your nursing supervisor. And you need someone who's going to be registered as like your coordinator of human resources. So these are the people that are putting in the certifications of the home health aides. They're the ones doing the criminal history record check. This is a key position. Now, you could have your administrator function as that HR component doing the CHRCs and the HCR registrations, but you also need to have a nurse. So for those of you who are nurse founders, you could actually take the seat of the DPS without adding additional cost to your startup. Or if you're not a nurse founder, then you absolutely should be taking the seat of the administrator, because now you have relevant experience showing that you've been running the companion care agency. You understand the onboarding of personnel. You've dealt with employees. So if you start with that companion care layer and you're not a nurse, you'd be able to wear the administrator hat. If you are a nurse, you should be wearing the director of patient services hat. And you need to have at least those two to even launch your agency. Now, when you're ready to move beyond kind of that companion care and private pay world, you're going to have to apply to New York State's Department of Health. You'll need your corporate documents, the same documents that you used to start the business, but you're going to need policy and procedures and the resumes of those critical roles on your team. Now, the application details are available on New York State Department of Health's home care page, where they have all of the licensing material, the guidance, all the tools that you need to really understand that licensing process. But if you download our guide, we included the link in there as well to make it simpler for you to find the information. Now, the thing about licensing in New York is that there are two paths that you could take, right? So one of the routes is applying in an underserved county where demand is actually higher and the standard application applies. What do I mean by that is that New York State, when they brought the licensing back, because for a while they weren't issuing any licenses, they did a study to determine where do we actually need home care agencies and where do we think we're covered. So after analyzing all of New York State, they really settled that there's quite a few counties in upstate New York that are underserved. Downstate, New York City, Long Island, Westchester, etc., they felt that there's enough agencies there. And if you're going to be getting a license, the standard procedure kind of holds in upstate New York in those hard to service areas. So it's going to be easier to go through the licensing process because it's actually just following the directions in the licensing application. Now, if you are trying to get a license in those hard to service areas, or not hard to service areas, but the saturated areas according to New York State, you're going to need to go through the certificate of need process, which is a formal process of trying to prove to the state that they need another home care agency. And I kind of think that is a very difficult path to go down because the burden of proof is on you and it doesn't necessarily compel the state to comply. So you could go through the certificate of need process and still the determination be, no agency. So what I generally believe is that start with trying to get the license in an underserved community. Even if it's not your community, it at least gets your foot in the door with the department and a license under your belt. Because I'm pretty sure in a few years, what's going to end up happening is they're going to close the licensing process again. And it's going to be better for you to have a license in a territory than no territories at all. For example, Licenses down in New York City and Long Island can sell for as much as $400,000 to $500,000 in today's market with no patience. So if you wanted to get into New York City or Long Island, the traditional method or traditional way is going to be buying a license that is dormant and someone is not using, or buying a home care agency and going through the change of ownership process. Those are your only options. Now, the Department of Health is going to require full policy and procedure manuals, right? This is going to cover your patient's rights, caregiver supervisions, infection control, and overall compliance with the regulations. Your manual must align with DOH regulations, and it will be part of your application process and application package. The benefits of licensing overall are that you could actually expand your services and the type of services that you provide to include private duty nursing, physical therapy, nursing assessments, treating clients with traumatic brain injuries, right? You could also treat medically fragile children, and it opens the door for billing Medicaid and other long-term care insurance plans. Going for licensing isn't easy. It took my mother and I about 4 years to do it way back in the days without hitting consultants, which is why I recommend that everybody start with a companion care agency to build your foundation while going through the license process, because it could take you a while and you might as well get that experience and also some income so that you know how to go about marketing, how to go about recruiting, have the funds to pay for the licensing process, right? There's no reason why you shouldn't start companion care if you're going into trying to get your license. To me, makes the most sense as being your first step. So to just kind of close out and recap exactly what you need to do in a kind of simple, straightforward way. Number one, start with your private pay companion care business, right? Register the business, get the insurance that you require, get on-time software, start marketing and looking for clients and aides, right? Step two is that you're going to build your business foundation, earn some money, learn the steps, mature a little bit, and know, do I really want to go for licensing, or am I just good with running this sort of business, right? Once you have that figured out, you got to choose your licensing path. Are you going to go the underserved route or gamble and go the certificate of need route, right? That's going to be your options. And you better figure that out in the next few years before licensing closes. Your fourth step is to recruit your core team and make sure your policies match what DOH is expecting. Once you have all this together, you're going to apply to the Department of Health and go through their review process until the final licensing is approved, right? It's going to take you some time. But finally, once you have your license, you have to start to enroll as a provider to all the plans so that you could accept insurance and start billing the private insurances, as well as enroll in Medicaid and start billing Medicaid related plans. So you now know how to start a home care agency in New York step by step. Now, if you want help setting up your agency or you want to work with me directly, you could reach out to me and my team at passiveworkforce.com. My team and I have built multiple agencies to scale, and we can help you to do the same thing. Now, if you want that help, just comment below or use the link down below to get started. Also, just something to let you know, we're going to be expanding and launching new branches of my agency, Aaidbook, in New York, giving a select few the opportunity to work directly with me as a member of my team, and or put yourself on a partnership track to expand and open a new branch in a territory that we're looking to go into. So if you think that you're ready to kind of take things to the next level and you want to work with me under my management, then definitely reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until the next video, take care.